Hey everyone, it's Kristen and Tessa. How are you doing? I just want to thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. Even if it's on the replay, we really appreciate you being here with us. This is my third week to be doing this, and I have just been having a lot of one-on-ones with different business owners, and I thought, what a better way to be able to share what we all do by doing these little interviews. So I hope you're enjoying them. And this week we have Tessa Elrod.
Yes, correct.
And she is with, well, why don't I let you introduce?
Okay. So my business is Next Step Divorce Solutions. I am a certified divorce financial analyst, and a lot of you are probably going, a what now? A certified divorce financial analyst is not as well known here in the great state of Texas and the area of Houston. But what I do in my role is providing the financial guidance that individuals, a lot of times it's women, need throughout their divorce process. So it's different than just your traditional financial advisor. I do have specific training where I can be involved a lot more in the process. I can sit through mediation with you, analyze all the documents for you, and really coach and educate along the way, and give you some tips and understanding and create some realities about what the divorce process looks like from the financial angle. So it is a niche market that is just not very well known, and it's really sad because there's a huge benefit to having a CDFA on your divorce team.
Yeah, and when I talked with you, I don't know, a week or so ago, I had no idea that your services even existed or why you would want them. And I just, not that I plan on getting a divorce or really like advocating, but it's a reality, marriages end up in divorce. And, one of the things that you mentioned that really struck me as true is that women especially, we only care about the kids in reality and making sure that we get them. We don't think long-term beyond that. So I wanted you to just kind of go ahead and talk about what you can do for the women besides caring about the kids. I know the kids are very important, but what is the other side that people don't think about that what's interests me so much in your services?
So one of the biggest things is in a typical marriage, we're all going to divvy out our own responsibilities. We're all going to have, you have you take care of the outside of the house. I take care of the inside of the house. Everybody divvies out their responsibilities. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how you learn to function as a couple and as a family. Oftentimes, women because they're more of the caregiver of the children, their focus is on the kids and less on the financial day-to-day matters, or they may be focused on the day-to-day matters, but they may not be focused on long-term planning. They're not thinking about retirement. They're not worried about a 401k or saving for it or anything in between. They're just trying to support their family today. And so when in the realm of a divorce, you're making so many difficult decisions, not just legal decisions, not just decisions that will have an impact today, but that will impact 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And so by bringing in a CDFA, you get the bonus of somebody that has the analytical and understands the financials down to the nitty gritty. And on top of that, somebody that can show you, okay, if this is what you want to do post-divorce, you advocate for your kids. We will, work with your attorney to fight for your children, but you need an advocate who's also looking out for your financial affairs once this divorce is finalized and how that's going to look long term. And so that's really, that's one thing I love about what I do. Nobody gets excited about being in the divorce process, but I do love supporting women. I do love educating women and taking a lot of the fear and anxiety out of some of the decisions that they have to make by providing more clarity and understanding about their situation.
Yeah. And, we talked about, just some different scenarios. And sometimes women are given an allowance and they get a weekly allowance of, say, $100 a week or whatever it is, maybe $50, $20. And they have no idea about the financial side of what their household even looks like on the financial side. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Right. So like I said, sometimes everybody has their own roles, and sometimes it's a control issue, unfortunately. I've heard all different types of stories of that. And so what's important when you're looking at the day-to-day stuff, there's a lot of factors that could come into play in the matter of a divorce. And that is, how do you survive today? What are your options? How do you prepare for divorce today? And one of the things, if you're given a limited budget, if you're given limited access to those financials, is being kind of strategic on how you may prepare yourself to go through the divorce process. Simple things like when you go to the grocery store, get a little bit of extra cash out. There's things you can do to prepare yourself, but then also when you're in that realm of you're only limited to certain access to certain things, becoming a private investigator, looking for statements, looking for different stuff to educate yourself as best as you can. And then just understanding that it's okay to be in that situation. I think a lot of times I come across women that they have a lot of just guilt that they allowed themselves to be in the position that they are financially, and it's totally okay. But that's why you bring in somebody that is that can help you to take some of the emotions out of those decisions. Is that what you were asking for?
Yeah, exactly. And another thing is, even if women are involved in the finances, they, like I said, or you said, their emotions are so high and so stressed out, and they're so stressed out about everything and worried about how the kids are going to react and just things like that, is that they may not be thinking about the financial side of where they'll look like 5 years down the road, 20 years down the road. They just care about the now and what it looks like right now.
Right. And one of the things that, when I got into this business, I actually talk with certified divorce financial analysts across the country, and many of them have been through their own divorce once or twice. And one of the things that even they will tell you themselves, many of them are financial advisors. They know the finances, they understand the finances, but because they're in the emotion of the process, they needed their own CDFA. And that's why many of them got into the business, was because they recognized the need for that role was so important, even for themselves who understood the finances, because to mix the emotions in there, you needed somebody that was level-headed to help you make good decisions.
Yeah, exactly. It's always good to have that third party just kind of watching your back, making sure that you're taken care of when you may not be out there emotionally or mentally at the time. So yeah, that is really awesome. And I know you touched briefly on kind of how you got started. Do you have another story? Like, is there something deeper on how you got started? Because like I said, I never even knew that this existed.
Right.
So
yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, nobody gets real excited and says, yay, I want to, jump into the realm of divorce planning. But, and I've heard from a lot of family law attorneys, it may not have been their first choice either to go into that form of law, because it is hard. But one of the things, for several years, I had been hearing about the designation just in the financial world, and started to look into it. And for me, honestly, it was totally a leap of faith in a God direction. I had been looking for a way to put myself out there in a specific area. One of the ones that really resonated with me was special needs planning, because I do have a younger brother that has special needs. And so I knew the need for some guidance in that specific area. And the Lord just kept shutting those doors, that wasn't the specific niche He wanted me to walk down solely. And so I started to study for the exams and completed them, and then was able to partner with some other professionals, a business coach, and really found a passion for why this is so needed in this country and why it is, and that it's extremely underutilized in many divorces. And so that's where I realized that it's not about promoting and selling divorce, which is something I had to overcome. It's about educating and making the process a little bit smoother, a little just a gentler divorce, one with clarity and education. And hopefully by removing some of that fear and anxiety, it will help people to have a better outcome on the other end as well. Less emotional trauma through the process. Because it's already, for somebody that's led up into the divorce, that you've already struggled and had a lot of emotional issues and challenges that you've had to face already. And the process isn't really friendly. So trying to make that a friendlier process as best as possible and have that shoulder that you can lean on. I always say the best divorce team really involves a therapist or some type of church counselor, somebody that can provide that emotional stability, then having a financial analyst that can provide the financial analyst, an attorney that can give you the legal guidance. With that team together, you really have a powerful foot to stand on, and it takes a lot of the weight off of the individual themselves.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Do you have like a therapist, either church or otherwise, and like lawyers that you specifically work with and have a relationship, or do you just kind of direct your clients to, hey, go see your church, or what?
I don't have anybody specific that I just hone in one-on-one. I do have several attorneys that I've gotten to know or worked with, and several therapists that I've gotten to know and work with, and that group is growing. And so one of the benefits of coming to a certified divorce financial analyst, similar to that as a financial advisor, is we kind of see a bigger picture. We're trained to see a bigger picture than just our piece of the pie. And so as we get to hear and learn about the challenges that person is facing, I can help to guide them to an attorney or a therapist that may be a good fit for them, or a series of attorneys that they can interview, therapists that they can interview that could be a good fit if they don't already have one. And that really is such an important, one of the most important things in a divorce is not just having a professional team surrounding you, but having the right professional team surrounding you. And that doesn't necessarily mean somebody that's competent or not competent. It's one that you have the rapport with and can communicate well with, and who you feel comfortable with. Because let's be honest, when you're walking through the divorce process, you have a lot of distrust in the people around you. And so you need to be able to trust the professionals that you're hiring.
Exactly. Yeah. And another thing that's really stuck out to me with our conversation is you mentioned that people are actually kind of thinking about divorce for like 2 years before they actually file for it. That's
Yeah, it's not uncommon that there is a lag time. It's a huge decision. It's a life-changing decision, and it's not one that many people take lightly. And so when divorce really starts to enter people's mind as a possibility, there's oftentimes a 2-year lag. And so a lot of the struggles in the process is, if you have somebody that's been thinking about it for 2 years, they decide to go ahead and file for divorce. Now they're informing their spouse, who's just maybe thinking about it, or maybe not as far on that 2-year barrier. They haven't had the same timeline of processing, and that starts to cause a lot of the tension because they're just not as far along in the emotional process of acceptance.
Okay. That is awesome. Like just the information that's coming in. I guess, can you maybe walk me through, like, if I were to be using your services, kind of walk me through what I would expect as a client? Like, what are you going to be doing with me or for me or whatever?
So the pace oftentimes will depend on where they're at in the process. So one of the things I first and foremost always try to explain to my clients is, one, I am not an attorney and I will not give you legal advice, but I can provide you what my experience has seen, and in talking with attorneys and just my own learning, what you can anticipate about the process and what is common for our area. Because if you're talking to people from other states, what's normal in other states may not be normal here. So the first time that we need, it's a lot of education, just trying to learn about who you are, what your challenges are, where you're at in the process, and what your financial outlay from a very high level looks like, so that I can best identify how I can serve you. Because the last thing I want to do is provide additional strain in the process if I don't feel like I can add value to the situation. And so that's kind of how we get started. And from there, it's gathering a whole lot of documents. Sometimes if you're further along in the process, you may have already done discovery with your attorney. In situations, I have found that discovery is normally fairly minimal on what I'm looking at. I can get a good chunk of it, but there's additional things that we can try to gather to really understand the full picture and where all the pieces fit. So the first part of it is a bit analytical on my end, because it's trying to understand the situation. What are the finances? What is the outlay? And what are the options that we have to work within? And then through that process, I'm also educating, okay, these are the types of accounts that you have. This is what that means for you based on your age. And if you have to access these, what is the taxation going to look like? If you're under 59 and a half and you're needing retirement dollars to live on, well, there's a financial impact there that you need to consider. So we go through a lot of that process. And then I will be involved through either temporary or final or both mediations with my clients, so that as they're getting settlement, they're negotiating a settlement with their spouse in the other room. We're in the other run looking at how that really affects everything. And we try to do some estimates of what that may look like, what best case scenario, worst case scenario, where is that? Because it's all negotiation. We have no idea what's going to happen in that room. So I'm providing that financial guidance while the attorney's in there making sure that their rights are being met and that they understand the legal process very well. And then after that, once their divorce is finalized, then we help implement. There's one of the things that probably shocked me the most when I first got into this business was how many people said, "Where were you 10 years ago when I had my divorce?" And then the other one was, "I think I have something out there that I never did, that's 10 years old." And it's like, oh no. So we want to make sure we close the loop on everything and tie it up with a nice little bow, finalize it all, make sure everything's transferred into your name, and then figure out where you go from there.
Awesome. So do you work with people just through the divorce process, or do you work with them? Can you come in afterwards, or what are the options there for the people who didn't know about you when they went through their divorce?
So when I started in the business, I'm a financial advisor. I've been in the industry for 10 years. And yes, I can support them beyond that. There's no, when you sign up to work with me through your divorce, there is no obligation to continue working with me. However, I would love that opportunity if it exists, but if it's not a good fit, I just want to make sure that they're taken care of. So yes, I can offer some guidance, and we really talk about that in a lot more detail once we get through this first step.
Okay, awesome. And you mentioned if they're from here, do you just work with people in Texas, or do you work with people all over the U.S.?
No, I can work with people all over the U.S. There is no, unlike an attorney who's normally stipulated to specific counties and all that kind of stuff, I can work nationwide. The challenges that come with nationwide is every state has different legal laws that affect the financial decisions. So different formulas are used for different things. Different states handle spousal maintenance different. Whether something is, if an asset's been commingled, had premarital assets and marital assets, how you unwind that is different. So there's additional challenges in learning that specific state's needs. However, like I said, I do have a large group of other CDFAs nationwide who are very helpful in making sure that we're all either cross-referring if that's necessary, or stepping in to say, hey, this is kind of the mood of the courts in our area. This is how we handle these financial issues.
That is awesome. That is really awesome that if you can't help them directly, you have people around the whole world.
Right. Have a network that does.
Yeah, that is great. So I have asked all the questions that I can possibly.
They were good. Awesome.
Do you have anything else like that I just forgot to ask, or that you feel is really important that you want to get out there?
The biggest thing is that I always try to explain to people is just to help them understand what a certified divorce financial analyst is. Because most people don't know. They don't know that that's what they need to look for as part of their team. And then the other one is the earlier you can bring in, because the other question I often get is, when does a certified divorce financial analyst actually get involved? The earlier in the process, the better, because I can be more effective. My analysis can be more effective in the legal process if I'm involved early on. So that's normally the other question that I'll get as well.
Awesome. Very good.
But we also, I got to hear a lot about what you did. And, some people, I think when I was first introduced to you, it was, this is a bookkeeper. I was asking for a bookkeeper and other things. And so we were connected through a mutual friend. And so tell me a little bit, one of the things that I loved and connected with you so well on is how much you offer, all the services that you offer. And also initially we were looking at that profit first and what that meant and how that was a different way of managing a business for small business owners and the benefit of that. So I'd love to have you share a little bit more about all the services that you provide, because I do think you're way more than just a bookkeeper.
We still get the question of if we sell books at our place. Like some people just have no idea what a bookkeeper is. I would say 98% of our clientele is actual like small businesses who want to know how they are doing financially, but they're just not good at it. They don't have the time. They need to be focusing on their own business. And they see the importance of outsourcing their bookkeeping to like a third party. Mm-hmm. So we do handle the bookkeeping. And what that means is we make sure that all of their expenses get categorized, all of their income gets categorized correctly too. Their accounts payable, their checks are paid, their accounts receivable is collected on. We make sure that all of their bank statements, their credit card statements get reconciled every single month. And then we provide them a profit and loss that shows where their money is going, and a balance sheet that shows where all their money is and what their assets are and what they owe. And then we sit down and have a 30-minute phone call conversation with them, or like a Zoom conversation with them every single month. That kind of lets them just focus on their bookkeeping, like on their business, like where are you? Where were you last month? Where are you now this month? Where were you a year from now? What goals do you have? And we never know where that conversation is going to lead, because it may lead to, hey, I lost all my business during the corona. I need help getting the small business loans set up. Mm-hmm. Like, what can you do for me? Or maybe, and that's what's been lately, is I want to apply for this paycheck protection program. These are the reports that I need, and we get them to them so that they can hand it into the loan people. And maybe, hey, I want to grow my business to X amount of money next year, or what are some different goals? So we sit down and help them with that. And then we also do income taxes. We do QuickBooks training, so that if you want to do it yourself, we can at least show you how to do that. But our absolute favorite thing that we love to do with people is profit first. And the reason why is because as a small business owner, we work so hard, and a lot of times we're paid last. We work 80 hours a week, barely making it by. And we're just overwhelmed because we have on the CEO hat, we have on the marketing hat, we have on the sales hat, we have on the shipping hat, and we don't know what else to do. So we love working with clients and help them with profit first. And profit first is exactly what it sounds like. It is that we are taking our profit out of the business first, for that we make a profit. Because because again, we work way too hard to not make any money, or to have losses. And then I also get people who hate paying taxes, or they're upset because they had no idea where they were the whole year, and then they end up owing like $25,000 worth of taxes, or they're getting like $10,000 refund. And they just have no idea what's going on throughout the month. So we really focus on real time. Every single month we're talking and seeing where you are presently. And so profit first is, do you remember Grandma, and she had like all these little envelopes, and Grandpa would get paid, and he'd hand over the money to her, and she'd put some money into a food envelope and some money into a clothing envelope. She might even save for a vacation. She'd pay the rent right away, or the house mortgage, pay the utilities. And she had all these little envelopes. And when the money was gone in that envelope for groceries, she had to make sure that, she only had $50 in there, like her groceries were $50 or less, or she had to put stuff back. So that's kind of how we do it for businesses. And we literally walk them through, like, this is where you were last year. And we figure out what percentages to apply to these things. Like, we make sure that you're saving for taxes, for that you don't even notice it, and that you're paying your taxes on time, quarterly, and that you're not paying in too much. Like, we literally look at that for you. We make sure that we put aside, a percentage to start making a profit. We make sure that you're getting paid. And then all the money that's left over after those plates get filled, or those bank accounts get filled, is your operating account. Because a lot of people, they go on their bank account every single day and they're like, oh, I have $2,000 I can pay bills, or whatever the number is. But they spend all that $2,000. So all we're letting you look at is your operating account. That's the only account that you look at, and that's what you have to pay everything else out of. So then it comes to, most people have been paying for stuff that they don't need to be paying for. We can learn how to cut back. We negotiate with their current vendors. Heck, you could call your utilities that you currently have been in good standing with. And I did that about 3 years ago. When I did this, I was able to cut down just my utility bills, phone, the alarm system, the trash, $100 every single month, for the same exact service I was already paying for, just by making some phone calls and talking with people. And then once those negotiations are done, we go line item by line item and figure out, what do you not use? What can we get rid of for that you can operate just out of the operating account? And that's the bank. Like, we don't want to change your habits. We just want to change what's in that bank account, for that we can change the habits down below. Like, if you only have $2,000, this is what you have to work with until the next time we do your profit first allocations. So I know that was really long, but I hope I explained that.
No, that's great. In the financial advising world, when we talk a lot about the envelope system and budgeting and what is your spending plan? And if anybody follows Dave Ramsey for their personal expenses, it makes most common sense to do that in your business. And whether you're you've been a business owner for a long time, or you're a new business owner, it just, when I read the Profit First book and the concept of it, it was like, well, no, duh. We teach this for our personal lives. Why not implement it into our businesses? And because so many times you hear that people, they have these wonderful businesses and they're doing well, but they don't even pay themselves. And so this accounts for all of those things. So I think it's great, but it is not necessarily, it seems easy, but it's a lot more complex on how you set it up. So having somebody like yourself that is trained and understands the process and can look at your books and say, okay, this is how much on a percentage basis you need to roll from income into this bucket and this bucket and this bucket, so that you have your final operating bucket left over for all the other things that need to happen within the day-to-day operation. So the report you gave to me was a huge help to be able to really put the numbers into buckets. Because it can be overwhelming. I think anytime you can add, even a financial advisor needs a financial advisor. So just like I was talking about with the divorce, when you're in it and you're in the grind of whatever the situation is, or the building of the business, you need somebody that's looking, that third party that's overlooking. So I think that's wonderful. One of the things that I would like for you to talk a little bit more about is how you talked about all your different services, but what makes you different than another bookkeeper down the street? What do you feel like makes you unique?
So that is a perfect question. And, I have my master's in accounting, and I can actually sit for the CPA. I probably would have to take another ethics course. Well, maybe not. I've been doing my CEs for that. But I can sit for the CPA test at any time. And it's been something I've really struggled with because I want to have that designation that, hey, I can do this, but at the same time, I actually get so much business from people who are leaving their CPAs or who are not happy with their bookkeeping person that they have currently, because a lot of times it's not a current monthly or even weekly relationship that they have with their CPA. It's all after the fact. We're looking at 2019 in March and April now, and that's the one time that they talk to their CPA and they find out, again, they either owe like 10 grand or 25 grand, or they're getting back a huge amount. They don't have that working relationship every day or weekly or monthly with them so that they know what's going on. They don't have eyes on their books every week to be like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Or, I just had this conversation with a brand new client. It was his first quarter in Profit First. And I'm like, where you were in 2018 versus, or I guess 2019 versus this quarter, what the heck was different? You were rolling in the dough last year and now, you're steady. But I mean, so having those real conversations of, is this really working? Is this what you want to do? And how much longer are we going to give this, either advertising or this new thing that you're doing that you think is going to work? How much longer are we going to give it before we say, that's it, we need to do something else, So just, we are working with our clients throughout the year as often as they need that one-on-one connection. They can either text us real quick or send us an email, a phone call. We are there for them. And sometimes we can't answer their questions, but at least we know about it and we can get them the answer and do some research. And it's just better than after the fact and not knowing where you are.
I think that's a huge value add to working with you, is having that forward planning as you go throughout the year, because oftentimes that is how we do our taxes. You do them one year and you don't touch them if you don't have to until the next year, or you're basing your business that it could be in a growth pattern or on the way down or stagnant. And every year, every quarter is going to look completely different. So you've got to stay on top of it. I think that's a huge value out of what you bring to the table that I was really impressed with, because I know that's something that I've wanted more of is some of that hand holding, I guess you could say, to make sure that we're making good decisions in the process rather than looking backwards and going, oh, well, we screwed up there, now we got to fix it over here.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. One of the things, because I'm a numbers person, and I know other people are too, what if they want to be more involved or be able to pull things up and look at them themselves more than quarterly? Is everything easily accessible and on the cloud, or is it kind of you hold it and then we have a report once a quarter?
Yeah, we use QuickBooks Online for probably 90% of our clients. And what QuickBooks Online is, we switched to it about 4 years ago. We went cloud-based on everything. And so thankful that we did that then instead of trying people are trying to do. But QuickBooks Online, you can be as involved with it as you want to or not. If you want us to handle everything, we are there for you, and we will talk to you when you want us to talk or for your scheduled monthly meeting with us. Or we have clients who, with QuickBooks Online, they can even have it on their app, on their phone. Oh, nice. And some of our clients, they're like, you know what, we're just going to do the invoicing, and they will, when they're at their clients, they'll pull up the QuickBooks Online app and they'll invoice them right there. As long as it has an email address, it's sent directly to them. And then we take over everything else for them. We do their deposits, make sure their bills are paid, reconcile everything, work on their loan stuff, and we can sit there and train them on how to use this. So QuickBooks Online, you can access through your phone, tablet, your desktop, your laptop, wherever you are, as long as you have internet. And we can sometimes like we have to walk our clients through it. We do offer free QuickBooks. I've done a series of free QuickBooks so that they can watch it their own. Or if there's something in particular like they are having a problem with, like say they are doing their invoicing and I find out they're doing it wrong, I can go ahead and shoot them like a 5 to 10 minute video of, hey, Bubba, this is how you're doing it. This is how I need you to be doing it. And then I'll shoot it to them or send it to them and be like, hey, please watch this 10-minute video instructing you process by process on how to start doing this correctly so that we don't have to be fixing it every month. And if they need, me to walk them through, hey, I want to apply for this PPP loan thing. I need to get my payroll records or whatever. We can, instead of us like doing it for them, or we can do it for them, but we can literally walk them through it because we can see the same stuff they can. So I can literally be like, okay, click here and go to the reports and okay, I'm going to make a report for you. And here you click this and this is what you need to send to the loan officer. So yeah, they have access to it if they want to, and we can walk them through how to use it. Or we can have access to everything and handle everything for them. And we have clients in both that want to do both. So we kind of cater to what they need and what they want to have control over.
Oh, that's awesome. Is there any other specific things you would want people to know? Or one of the things I thought of was, is there not a mistake, but is there something that you often see with business, specifically business owners, that things that they just don't know, that you tend to catch a lot?
I can't think of anything specific in like the bookkeeping, like what they're doing wrong, like with their bookkeeping. But the one thing I can say is I just really, really recommend, no matter how involved that you want to be with your bookkeeping, is that you at least take time to work on your business. Take that 30-minute phone call with us. I mean, there's times like we all get busy, but take that 30-minute phone call with us, or even to look at it yourself if you're not a client of ours. But take the time to actually see where you were last month, where are you this month, and kind of take the time to kind of understand. And not everyone understands their bookkeeping or what a profit and loss is or what a balance sheet is, but we can help explain that to you and walk you through, like, a lot of times they don't even understand what those numbers are. And just reach out to us and we can tell you what it is. But take the time to really kind of figure it out, and just to know where you are. And then take the time to figure out where you want to be in a year from now. We are big into setting goals, and right now a lot of us are kind of pivoting our goals. Like, well, hey, if we're a speaker, obviously we are not going to have any speaking gigs for a while. So what can we do now? And just taking the time to focus on your business instead of just working in your business. 100% of the time, take the time to focus on what you can be doing to grow your business, or setting those goals and then setting the action steps to reach those goals is just so important. A lot of times people don't take the time to just sit down and work on their business. Taking a look at where we are, where we want to go. And that's so important, especially right now. I mean, it's important anytime, but instead of just being reactive, set everything up to be proactive for the future. Like one of the things I kind of mentioned earlier is we went cloud-based 4 years ago. We didn't know that we needed to be cloud-based for 2020 Corona, but kind of being proactive just with their business and thinking of obstacles that could come about in the future. Right now would be a really great time to kind of do that analysis of what your strengths and weaknesses are, what obstacles there could be, and blocks or whatever. I can't remember it all, but if there's something that needs to be worked on in your business right now besides getting money to survive, like figure it out for that you can be strong when you come out of this. Focus on your marketing right now, even if it's just building relationships with people, kind of like what we're doing right now. Just be building relationships, because that's an asset to you too, whether or not you know it. I mean, you never know who could use you in the future. So building relationships and networking and stuff right now, if you can't be actually doing what you normally do, at least be doing something to be building your business.
Right. Well, is there anything else that you would want somebody to know about your services and your company that we haven't already covered?
No, I think that's about it. We are continuing to do these business in the spotlights. So if you see this one, even if it's on replay, we have more of these coming, and we'd love to have y'all jump in and see them and learn about different businesses that are out there. Next week, we're going to be focusing on kind of the mental health. I have 2 speakers next week. One is on taking command of your life. He's like a coach, a life coach, business coach. He was a Mustang Marine, so he can literally tell you what to do to get out of the funk, the fear, the crisis in your head, and to move forward. And then we have another one that focuses on hope. She's a psychologist, psychotherapy or something like that. I can't really remember, but she's really interesting too. So would love to have anyone jump on the future webinars that we're holding and just share these out.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me on today and giving me the opportunity to share with more of the community about a certified divorce financial analyst and the importance role that they play in a difficult time for people's lives. And I loved hearing again more about your services. I was just so impressed with our conversation and really enjoyed it. So I was glad to hear it all over again.
Yeah, thank you. And I really enjoyed working with you, and I'm so glad that we could do this interview together. I love it, and I hope that many people will see it and remember it in the future when they need it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, have a great day, everyone, and thank you, Tessa.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.